I'm going to show you how to clean up the edge here. You can see it's a little bit rough, and the way that we're going to do that is we're going to use the lamination jig again. So I'm going to place my wood into the lamination jig, only this time I'm going to have it so that it stands proud sitting outside of the jig. Okay, and you can see that it's sticking out, and what this allows me to do is it allows me to use this plane to get everything nice and smooth. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a block plane. I'm going to use the block plane to create a smooth edge here. Now when you're using the block plane, you may need to adjust it. If you look at that, you can see it's not taking any of the material off. So what I'm going to do is, if you look at this dial at the back here, I can turn this, and by turning the dial, what will happen is inside of the plane you can see that there's a blade there. You can see, if we look at the foot here, that this blade can be adjusted so that it comes further out or sits further out, which removes more material, or it sits further back and it removes less material. So I need to just turn this brass dial, and that will remove, this will pull the blade out and it will remove more material. So we'll see how we do. You'll notice as I plane, I'm following the curve of the leg, and I'm just going to do that until I get one continuous piece of wood that comes from the mouth. So I've cleaned the mouth out. I'm starting at the front. I press down here on the front, and I push the plane through, and I'm looking for a continuous piece of wood to come out. And as soon as I've got that, I know that I've made this flat. You can see at this point here it's a little bit low, so I'm going to keep going until I've got rid of that. So that's my first edge that's been finished. Okay, we've got a nice smooth edge. Nice smooth edge there. One of the things that I should let you know is that at the start of this, when you have these pieces of wood cut for you and prepared, you'll notice that we have them cut to about 60 millimeters wide. These individual strips here, the veneers, these have been cut so that they're 60 millimeters wide. In fact, we don't need the final leg to be 60 wide. We need it to be about 50 wide. And the reason we make these a little bit wider is so that after we've removed these and we've got everything nice and smooth, the final width of the leg is about 50. So that's why we deliberately have these a little bit wider, because we know that we're going to have to cut and remove some of this material here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a marking gauge What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a marking gauge so that we make our leg the correct width. Now, starting, we want to set the marking gauge here to 50 millimeters, so you can see the pin and the face of the gauge there. I'm going to set it to 50, and then I'm going to tighten up the thumb screw. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to use the marking gauge, tighten that up a little bit, and use the marking gauge to draw a line on the opposite side of the leg. When you're using a marking gauge, it's much easier to put your hand at this end rather than this end, And what we do is you roll the pin and then you push it forward like so. Okay, and we're always trying to push this face into the material. Okay, so you can now, I don't know whether you can see that, but I've got a faint line that goes all the way along my piece of wood. What we'll do is this can be removed using either a bandsaw, and then we can plane it up to that final line there.